Joining us now to talk about all of this is Ellis Hennigan, a columnist at the Global Metro newspapers, and Tom Borelli, contributor at the Conservative Review. Tom, I want to start with you because there was a dust-up in the Senate over an amendment that had been introduced that suggested, okay, fine to cut the corporate rate from 35% to 20%, right, but if wages don't grow, then the corporate rate should go back up. Doesn't that make perfect sense? In other words, if the argument is, hey, corporate taxes will create more money for workers, if that doesn't happen and their wages don't rise, why should they be able to stay with that slash in a corporate tax rate?
Well, I think I would disagree with that. I think at the corporate tax rate, making it permanent, I think is really good for the economy. The whole purpose of this tax cut, really, in addition to providing tax relief for all Americans in all income brackets, is the corporate tax rate. Because as we know, we've been straddled with stagnant economic growth for years. And if we keep doing the same dance step, we're going to get the same lousy results. We have corporations going overseas. What you want to do is cut the corporate tax rate. They also, part of that plan, they're also going to allow investment, purchase investment with deductions, and that will drive wages and growth. But if the corporations get the tax cut, Alice, they would presumably have more money to play with. They're already sitting on a ton of money. There's no indication that they would necessarily give it to their workers unless I'm missing something.
No, more money to keep for themselves. Listen, there is one very good reason to be for a corporate tax cut. And that's if you believe that corporations don't have enough money, right? And that you want to take it away from the people and give it to the corporations. Look at the stock market, and you tell me whether corporate profits are high enough, whether corporate earnings are big enough. You know what? These people are rolling in it. The last thing they need is more of our money.
Ellis, I want to ask you something honest. Americans opposing the tax reforms, not only Democrats, what do they mostly care about? Is it the fact that it might not help their financial situation as much as they hoped it will, or is it the fact that it will benefit the wealthy or the corporates?
I think you put your finger on it perfectly, Tal. It's most people care about their own situation, right? Who cares what some index says? You want to know is, do I have enough money to do the things in my life that I need to? Do I feel that my kids have a good future?
So it's not the feeling he is benefiting more than me?
Maybe there's a little bit of that, but mostly if we're doing well, we're pretty happy.
Tom?
Well, yeah, I don't buy into the, the class warfare. That never works. I think what the tax plan does, it cuts rates. All the rates will be cut. Everybody, most Americans, the vast majority will get more money in their pocket. But again, with corporations, if they want to make money, they have to invest. They have to innovate. This is a global competition. What we need is to provide the right incentives. And I believe that's what this really does. They projected, the Tax Foundation projected, GDP will go up 3.5%. With Obama, we were stuck in the twos. We need economic growth that will get us higher wages, more job creation, and the more tax revenue into the government, which we desperately need.
How does it create more jobs to the middle class?
It doesn't.
Well, sure it does.
There's no evidence that these guys are rolling in money right now, Tom. They're not helping people's wages go up. They will pay workers as little as they can get away with paying them.
How much money is parked overseas?
A lot of it. Right. Let's get them to be patriotic Americans and bring it
back
home.
At 14%. Economics is about incentives.
Just for argument's sake, let's just for argument's sake say this is not about helping the economy and that it may not help the economy. But what about the philosophical argument that the people, and I'm not talking about corporate taxes, but on individual income tax rates, that if you make money, that money belongs to you. It shouldn't belong to the government.
Well, you know what? Welcome to real life. You got to help support some of the stuff we want. We want a military and roads and a whole bunch of stuff in our lives. Government is the most efficient way to produce it. And you know what? You got to pay for it. That's what grown-ups understand.
It's efficient.
That's all you got.
Listen, I'm a big fan of the flat tax. Everybody 15%, no deductions. I would love that. Unfortunately, we don't have the team in Congress to deliver that for all Americans. But I think, look, corporations, that's where you're going to get your jobs. Also, small business is going to be a huge beneficiary of this tax reform. And a lot of jobs come from small business. It's all about incentives. If you make it too restrictive, too taxes, what happens? The wealthy go overseas, corporations go overseas. Let's give the incentives back here. Been trying this for how many years under former President Obama? It did not work. We need big stimulus economic growth.
I think Tom just raised a question. Why not trying it?
Well, I mean, we've been down this road several times, right? These are trickle-down notions, the Laffer curve. Remember Reagan had these big. It worked.
It worked.
And look at what happened in the Bush years. We went from huge surpluses under the Clinton administration
because of
to
the
the largest debt.
and the ending of the Soviet Union.
The last time we made the mistake of one of these.
What we really need is big economic stimulus. Isn't the smartest thing is to not to do tax reform, but to have a $1 trillion infrastructure spending project, because that way we know that the $1 trillion is going into the U.S. economy in terms of construction work. If you give anybody a corporate tax cut, if I give you or if I give Ellis a tax cut, there's no guarantee that he's going to spend that money in the economy. He might go to, I don't know, Italy or someplace and spend it over there.
We live in a free society. It's all about incentives. If I was to win Lotto tomorrow, I tell you I would invest in companies, I would invest in a small business, I would invest in hire people.
But there's no guarantee that you would invest on all of that.
I'm not going to put it under my mattress. That's not going to do anything.
But if we do take that money you win in the Lotto and we say, okay, the government's going to spend it for you on building some roads,
I don't want my money going to the government because
David,
they spend it poorly every time.
David, the truth of the matter is that they're going to be winners and losers here. And if we look at these plans, the one that was approved by the House, the one that the Senate is kicking around, we know who the losers are. They're hardworking American families against corporations and the people at the very top.
This is class warfare. Right.
So no one is losing?
I didn't say that. No, in any big system, there's going to be some winners and losers, but 92% of Americans, according to the Joint Tax Foundation, taxes will go down or stay the same. 92 is a pretty good number for me.
It's not very good for the people who, if the Senate approves if the House approves what the Senate has done in reconciliation, and they decide to lose the individual mandate in Obamacare, 15 million people would lose their insurance over the next 10 years.
You're absolutely right, but here's the good news.
Why connect that?
Here's the good news, David. It's not going to pass. Republicans, and it isn't because of the Democrats, it's because Republicans have
one
too
Democrat
much
voted for it in the House,
inconsistency.
obviously, because they know if a tax cut goes through, the economy will take off, and the Democrat Party will be done for the near future.
Yeah, good luck on that.
But back to the question, is it smart to tie in Obamacare? I mean, the Republicans have tried repeatedly to get rid of Obamacare. Why bring in the individual mandate and add it to tax reform?
Because it actually helps cut spending. The deficit will be lowered. And it's
more people will lose health insurance.
Another example of helping.
Dying anyway.
Another example of helping Tom's friends at the top at the expense of hardworking families. There you go.
If I was at the top, I wouldn't be here.
Tom Borelli and Ellis Heinrich.
Why do you support these people? I don't know.
Tom's buying us all dinner next time. Tom Borelli, Ellis Heinrich, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good to have you here. Wonderful.